Hey guys, so by now you've probably heard the internet is blowing up with this Gillette toxic masculinity ad. Um, I'm probably a little late to the party with this one because everybody was talking about it yesterday, and I'm sure the internet is going to be pretty much dead with it today. Thus is the internet. Everything is here today, gone tomorrow, and I think that's kind of one of the difficulties with talking about a lot of these social issues, talking about the social justice this and Trump said that, all of these issues out there. And that's why I don't make a lot of videos talking about them because I don't like to have a knee jerk response. I like to really look at a situation and analyze it. Um, so, this toxic masculinity ad, I think this is interesting and this is something that I really want to talk about, not just because it's popular, but because these are issues that I like to address, that I've actually been wanting to address. I plan to write an article here in the near future, and I want to title it The Measure of a Man, and I want to watch both of the Daddy's Home movies and kind of comment on the dynamic going on there. But I wrote an article responding to the ad, and I'll put the link in the description box. But there's some comments I wanted to make right on video. So we watched this ad, and at first I was kind of like, okay, there's some strange stuff here, but there's also some important stuff that's being said. And so there was kind of this mix going on, but something didn't quite feel right. Like something seemed off about it, and I didn't quite catch it at first. So one of the comments made in the ad was that some men are doing the right thing, but some is not enough. And of course, that strongly implies, in fact, it directly implies that most men are scumbags. That you have this idea that all these men are steaming piles of turds, and this is a bad thing. And they're like, oh, men, we need to do better. And so, one of the problems people really have with the ad is not that it says, hey, we should do good things. It's that it slanders men in saying that doing bad things, and saying that rape culture is the norm, and saying that men are running around objectifying and demeaning women like there's no tomorrow. Now, there are some few comments that I want to say about that, obviously, or else I wouldn't be making this video. I'm a Christian man, so I've grown up with my parents, teaching me about the Lord, particularly my mom. My dad taught me more about hard work. And I went to church. I learned proper morals. I learned about the Bible, and I learned that, hey, you should honor women and treat them with respect. And so this is what I learned. But I have known quite a few guys through college, high school, etc., who didn't necessarily respect women to the same degree that I do. When I was in college, I remember having a conversation with some people where there were guys who were very much defending the morality of using pornography. And, this is a huge problem because, when you're seeing that stuff, you're destroying your mind. It's way overstimulating for one thing. It's not good. It's worse than a drug. And on top of that, you're destroying the lives of the people involved. A lot of the women involved in pornography have committed suicide. There's massive drug use. STDs are rampant. And I haven't quite researched this a lot, but sometimes those sex scenes end up resulting in a pregnancy, as sex does. So there are definitely some concerns there. But on top of that, Christ said, do not look at a woman with lust, or you've already committed adultery with her in your heart. And adultery, that's one of the things that God commands us not to do in the Ten Commandments. So I do see problems in society. I see problems with the way a lot of men act and the way a lot of men behave. Hopefully that is turning around. Hopefully men are going to learn to behave in a more godly way. That said, to say that men promote rape, or that they promote just the open, flagrant usage of women like they're like they're second class creatures is I don't see that. I don't see that as being quite so common. And so there's a lot here that does need to be talked about. I don't agree with what Gillette's saying. I don't agree with the way they've presented things. And so I think that there's a lot that does need to be talked about, and a lot needs to be addressed. And I think that can be done without slandering men, without saying that most men are doing things they should not be doing. Some of the different things that happened in the ad, of course, were these two boys, and I really can't tell if they're roughhousing or if one is beating the other one up. So there's definitely a difference between roughhousing and maybe kids getting into a bit of a tussle, who might be friends, for example, and then they come to blows. That happens. Sometimes men do that, even though they shouldn't. But then you have this line of men going, boys will be boys will be boys will be boys, as if men are a bunch of moron automatons. And it's been pointed out quite a bit. They're like, when have you ever been at a barbecue and one kid starts wailing on another, just starts beating another one up and bullying him? Because we don't know. Are these kids roughhousing? Are these two friends that came to blows? Or is this bullying? You have those three distinct possibilities. But I have never... I could say, I've never been at a barbecue where I've seen that happen. I can also say I have never seen people use the boys will be boys as an excuse for violence against women, or as an excuse for bullying, because that's not what that phrase means. And now I thought, am I the only one who's never heard of this? But then I was hearing other people talk about it and saying, hey, wait a minute, that's not what that term means. And I was like, you know what? Thank you, because you're confirming what I thought. You're confirming what I've always experienced with it, which is boys might be a little mischievous. They might get into a little bit of trouble, and so you correct them, and you discipline them properly. You do what you got to do, but don't get mad for the fact that, hey, they've got a lot of energy and they don't necessarily know how to challenge it yet. You know what? That's a good thing that men have energy, or a good thing that boys have energy, and that they grow up to be men who have energy. That's how you end up getting skyscrapers. Now, if you want to be a savage and go live in a cave, then and go wipe out some species because of overhunting, then that's your choice. I guess if that's the way these ultra feminist liberal Marxists want society to be, what, I really don't know what to say to that. But the fact that men have such ambition and so much energy and so much of a drive to conquer the world around them, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, a lot of people are pointing out, hey, why are you picking on, men in America? Something like this really could be shown to men in Saudi Arabia. Men in the Muslim world really could use hearing this message, because that is a place where women and children are abused routinely. Guess what? That's just the way it is. Even in more moderate Muslim countries like Malaysia, there's discrimination against religious minorities, and there's some pretty heavy persecution that goes on. Granted, that persecution might not be usually as intense as it is in territory controlled by ISIS, for example, but you know what? Muslim men need to hear a message like that, because a lot of them really are dirtbags. And that doesn't mean that all Muslim men are bad, but it does mean that they actually do have a culture of toxic masculinity, and they actually do have a culture that can be described as a rape culture. Because women get raped and then they're killed for it. So I think there has to be you can't just, this virtue signaling has to be called out for what it is. There are things out there that are bad, but you just saying, oh, well, there's bad things out there, that doesn't make you more morally superior. And it's also kind of sick that you have people who are very secular, and not all secular people are bad either. And this is something that's really coming out, where I'm noticing that you'll have somebody who's very secular, and they might be very conservative in their views, however, and so they will tend to respect women. They'll tend to say that all men, all human beings should be treated with equal dignity and respect, regardless of, their race or their gender or anything like that. And so it's really the left that engages in racism and identity politics and in demeaning people for their demographics and holding one person above another simply because of the color of their skin. We saw that recently with, not to bunny trail too much, but we saw that recently with a CNN news anchor who accused a radio host of having white privilege. Turns out he's black. But anyway, I digress on that. What I want to say is, yes, there are issues out there, and I think that there are issues that need to be talked about. But Gillette has no business slandering men and saying that the majority of men are these scumbags. A few things that do need to be talked about is perhaps men do need to be more respectful of women. And maybe that's something we need to be encouraging each other to do. Men need to be able to be more vulnerable with men who they can trust. Pornography addiction is widespread. Alcoholism is, I'm sure, not quite as widespread, but it's really common. So there are some problems out there, and there is a crisis of masculinity. We're seeing young boys grow up without fathers. We're seeing this huge lack of masculinity where there's a lack of male input. And that's not a good thing. So we need to have fathers back in the homes. And obviously this is especially a problem in urban African American communities where there's because of the welfare culture, there's a lack of fathers. And people might not like me saying that, but it's a fact. This fatherlessness in the black community doesn't go back to slavery. It's not the legacy of slavery. It didn't exist till more than 100 years after slavery was abolished, as Thomas Sowell points out. So this problem really started with the welfare state, and we need to start dealing with the reality of that situation. And of course, this is not something that's only happening in the black community. It is happening in other communities as well, even if it's been predominantly happening in black communities especially. So there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. There's a lot of things that need to be talked about, and there's a lot of things that need to not be swept under the carpet. I don't know why Gillette's using people who deny the Armenian genocide in their ads, with the Young Turks nonsense. Obviously that's crap, that's crazy. They're talking about the Me Too movement, which was encouraging false rape accusations. So people who were innocent, everybody knows they're innocent, all the facts prove that they're innocent, and yet, oh, me too, you should believe victims. And it's like, well, you don't know that they're a victim. Have you not read To Kill a Mockingbird? Like, you jerk. Like, you piece of crap. Have you not? You're just going to condemn somebody because there's an accusation. That's unacceptable. That's sexism. That's unreasonable. So anyway, there's a lot of things out there that need to be talked about. And I think there are a lot of things that need to be addressed. And perhaps the fact that Gillette touched on these things and tried to equate masculinity with being a douchebag, and tried to say, oh, well, most men out there are these crappy people, perhaps that will start forcing us to do an inventory and saying, you know what, this is a this is a dirtbag company, and they're supposed to make razors. I'm gonna check out Dollar Shave Club instead, see if they have any specials going on. So there's a lot here. This video is almost at 15 minutes, so I want to kind of wrap it up. There's a lot of other little comments I could say, but a lot of people have kind of already have said a lot of it, and I don't want to make you guys sit here and watch me for another 15 minutes if if I don't have something of huge substance contribute. But go and read the article that I wrote. See what you think. Let me know if there's something. Let me know if there's something you think I should add. Let me know if there's something you think that should be talked about. So walking away from this with a positive, Gillette was definitely out of line with this ad, but I think that there are areas that we need to talk about, areas that need to be addressed. Maybe we need to be starting to condemn pornography more, and starting to be able to be more vulnerable with other men who have shown a character that we can trust. Maybe we need to start having a culture where men interact with kids more, and maybe women who are single mothers need to seek out male input for their kids, need to be able to go to church groups, for example, where there are men around and their kids can interact with the men without people having to fear, oh my gosh, well, what if these men touch my kids, because you're in a public environment, and people will be able to be safe. So yeah, I think there's a lot out there. There's a lot that needs to be talked about. There's a huge disconnect between men being able to be men towards women and men being able to be men towards children and raise them up properly. And I think there's just way more that we can get into than I can do in one video. So I guess congratulations, Gillette, you've alienated your customers and you've slandered innocent people. However, there's, at risk of sounding cliche and like one of these irritating people, there is a conversation that needs to be had, and maybe we'll start having that conversation and starting to talk about the need for men, and the need for men to be able to be men, and the need for fathers in the home. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to hit the bell, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and be sure to share this to your friends. This is Greg, out. Hey guys, so I just want to do a quick follow-up, a PS to this video. One thing I would have advised Gillette is some of what they were trying to do in their ad wasn't necessarily bad in and of itself, but I think it could have been a lot better if it was going in a different direction. Martin Luther King talked about it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness, and I think that there would have been a lot more room there for advertising if you showed people speaking in the civil rights movement, for example, and having part of the I Have a Dream speech. If you showed men fighting in World War II to free Europe from the Nazis, if you showed men fighting in the Civil War to free people from slavery, if you showed men as strong protectors and you showed good positive masculinity and showed more of the good side of the way men are and started holding up a positive example, then I think that would have gone over a lot better. I think that would have had a much better impact. But then again, at the end of the day, how much of this was really to have a positive impact and how much of it was to stir the pot so you get controversy and free advertising. Who knows? In any case, I'm probably not going to buy Gillette products. Oh, one more thing. In the video, I talked about how we need to have it where men can be men towards women and men can be start being men towards children. We also need to have it where men can start being men towards men. So there's this huge disconnect between men where there is a promotion of a stoicism, which isn't necessarily bad in and of itself. But we can't be complete lone wolves. Like, we do need input from other men. We grow a lot by input from other men. And so there is a psychological need, and there is a real need to be able to have other men putting input into your life. And these need to be good men. The whole saying of birds of a feather flock together, and the people, it's also been said the 5 people you hang out with the most, those are the people you're going to become most alike. So don't go hang out with people just because you feel sorry for them, for the most part. Go spend time with men whom you respect, who you see as having a high degree of character, and go spend time with men who you want to be like. That's part of the reason why I'm such good friends with Cody Leibold, because I see good things in him. I see a strong strength of character, and he says he sees the same in me. So I guess I digress on this for right now. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and I am off to the gym, and I think I will check out Dollar Shave Club tonight, because honestly I like Gillette's products. They're very good. They work the best on my face, but I honestly, just feel like they've totally slapped. They've told me, no pun intended, but I feel like they've totally slapped me in the face now, and I really don't like disingenuousness. So anyway, bye for now. Be sure to subscribe and check out the rest of my videos, and definitely check out my upcoming video, which will be a documentary on scientific evidence for Noah's flood. This is Greg, out.